Happy Martin Luther King Day. It's I Have a Dream Day with Serena and Alice, Monday Motivations. I'm Alice Crisci, co-founder and CEO of MedAnswers, and I'm here with my very good friend and colleague, Dr. Serena H Chen out of Northern New Jersey at IRMS St. Barnabas. Really excited for today. You know, a lot of times on these shows, we're tackling very complex, very difficult things, covering case studies of people who have struggled to conceive. But today I want to keep us in the dream space. And I want to start actually with checking in on you, Serena, and what was your dream that led you to become an IVF doc in the first place?
So I think that, I liked everything in medicine. And so it was really hard to figure out what to do. But OBGYN seemed like basically a very, very positive, happy space where you can make a difference in a very short period of time. Somebody pushes and then the baby comes out, so it was really cool. And at the time I started, I guess I'm dating myself now, but IVF was really just beginning. I was at Johns Hopkins, and literally our IVF lab was in a broom closet. So it was
That's
in a
how
broom
Cryobank started, in
closet.
the room closet as well. Wow, I
Yes.
can't believe how many stories came out
Yes.
of the field of reproductive
Well, I
medicine.
mean, we took the brooms out. Okay. We took the brooms out, but
When
and it
you
was
first
very
put the
clean.
microscopes in.
Yes. But it was literally a broom closet. So it just, to me, as a resident in training, I was blown away by this idea that, we could fertilize an egg and make a baby essentially in the lab, in the test tube. And I just thought, enormous potential. And I just was captivated. So that's what drew me specifically to IVF. I mean, I love women's health in general. I was very interested in GYN oncology, the cancer, and I was interested
Mhm.
in the bladder function and the whole pregnancy journey, everything like that. But I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. This is going to explode. There's so much to learn and so much we don't know. And I still kind of feel that way today, although it's like completely different now. But I'm so glad that I ended up here.
Tell me a little bit about what the experience is like, though, when you are going through med school and you have this dream in mind, and then you get there. You know, everything is not always as it seems, and then you kind of you're on the other side of the healthcare system in the sense that you want to help everyone, and there's broken aspects of the system. There's other areas that have been great. So, talk to me a little bit about that. Did you get into this field of medicine and go, oh wait, it's not all it's cracked up to be, or it's as great as you expected, or are there certain
So
areas that need
I
improvement?
think the science and medicine has turned out to be much more than I ever could have expected.
Mm,
I think you and I always feel lately that we're drinking from the genetic fire hose because of the explosion in genetic technology and knowledge and capability. At the same time, I also started to grow really frustrated. I was told certain things by the system, and I was taught in a very hierarchical, in some ways, a very patriarchal way, like or patronizing. That the patient is over there, the doctor is over here.
mhm,
You have to keep on your white coat and keep it buttoned up, and always be. And the
mhm.
meaning of professional seemed to always mean, in some ways, kind of cold and dry and professional. And I am so glad for all the experiences I've had, because I feel like connecting with my patients and the fact that my patients just gave me so much love and respect, I think broke down those barriers and made me realize, I'm not sure that that type of approach necessarily serves us or serves our patients. And then also realizing that, physicians um, that are getting, as I grew older, realizing that a lot of us were just getting beaten down by the system itself. A lot of really good people with experience and training and knowledge and a real passion to help people, just getting so frustrated by like my God, we're still using fax machines, and
Right,
nobody ever gets the fax the first 10 times you send it
exactly.
ever.
And that's still considered HIPAA compliant. And everybody can go to the fax machine and see all your personal data, but faxes are considered HIPAA compliant. I do not understand that either.
Insane. And then people just feeling so tired, all the, the requirements for electronic medical records, and that dream is a wonderful dream. The idea of everybody owning their own data and their own medical records and having everything integrated together and having electronic access. The reality is it's truly incredibly burdensome and highly regulated, and I'm not totally sure why, but we're in the dark ages. Like this thing, has grown by leaps and bounds, but because of all the tremendous regulatory in medicine, we're still dealing with the dark ages in terms of electronics, and that has caused a tremendous amount of provider burnout. And but at the same time, I still feel like this dream of, since I was little, of trying to make a difference and trying to help people, I still feel like medicine is still an amazing way to do it, but we do have to figure out new models. Like I'm seeing a lot of my younger friends that are physicians really being passionate about supporting their patients, raising the bar for public health awareness, and really not thinking at all about those professional barriers that I had to deal with, the hierarchy, really creating through social media and other innovative ways, really creating a connection with our patients. Like hopefully what we're doing through MedAnswers, right? Like it's right in your phone. Like you have a doctor in your phone, right?
Connect with real humans, not a bot, not technology. It's just leveraging technology to make faster connections, which is what we're able to do because of
making it easy for us.
That's right.
And making it easy for the patients, because it's a two-way street. Like medicine, the difficulties in healthcare are not experienced just by patients. They're also really frustrating to doctors, and we really have to try to pull those things together.
Doctors aren't known for being the most savvy business people either. It's not as though you go to medical school and you get, business 101. And I think one of the unique things about our field is that each of you also is essentially a business owner. There are institutional clinics like at, the UC Health System, of course, and, where we have fellowship programs. They come out of kind of research organizations. But you didn't get into medicine to be a business owner, to be a partner, to be, looking at the bottom line. And so that these things are a little bit incongruent, right, for what you kind of intended to go into medicine for. Talk to me a little bit.
No, you didn't
deal with it.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect that at all. Like you don't get any training in that. You don't get any counseling in that. It was purely a scientific and medical decision. Wow, I really think IVF has a lot of potential, and nothing about business or the growth. And now we're seeing all this incredible changes in our field, and some of it is amazing, but some of it's going to be really challenging, because there's so much growth in the business and the private arena. There's really cool opportunities for tech, but at the same time, it's those old-fashioned academic programs that train us, that teach us how to become reproductive medicine specialists. And right now, there's so few training programs in the United States. There are thousands and thousands of young doctors who want to go into reproductive medicine, and right now really cannot become a board-certified reproductive endocrinologist. And in the old days, that was okay because, we didn't need that many, and now we need so much more. How are we going to meet those needs?
That's right. Can you think of any other area of medicine, though, where 1,500 doctors could help 7 million people who need them? I mean, you can't.
Crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. And it's such a time-intensive experience when you do have to go through an assisted reproductive technique in order to have your child. But even the consults alone, right, can be very time-intensive. And what I've seen, a lot of our doctors that participate on the app report back to us is that insurers are squeezing consult rates, even though the law dictates that you're supposed to get a telehealth consult, a phone consult reimbursed at the same level as an in-person. And I'm being told sometimes you only get $20 reimbursement.
Yeah,
And
and some companies, a lot of even large insurers are just like, nah, we don't pay for those. No, your time is not, your time and your knowledge and your experience are not worth, we just don't pay, which really doesn't make any sense, because it's better for the patient, it's better for the doctor, it's much more efficient. Why does the patient have to deal with parking and this and that? And, and especially in such a private and intimate discussion about such a topic that is so highly charged, to be able to like do it from your own home, in the privacy of your home, probably is like a great way to start, really much more patient friendly.
I think so. Yeah, it's a great way to start. Of course, eventually you need the labs, and eventually you need the scan, and you need to, be trained.
But once you find somebody, like once you understand some of it and you feel a little bit knowledgeable, then you feel more empowered and more comfortable. And then also starting a relationship, right, by just, doing this kind of thing, I think makes the whole process less intimidating.
I agree. So we have a question that came in from one of our audience members named Priya. Thank you so much, Priya, for writing in. She wants to know, how do you recommend patients help physicians not feel the burnout?
That is such a great question. So I think the big thing is to realize where we come from. And I try to make sure I tell this to all my patients. I should probably write it down. I got to write down more things, because like sometimes you just don't have time to say this. Mm-hmm. But I love this question. It's so thoughtful. Like, I feel good now that you just asked this. That's like so sweet. So you can really help by realizing, when I talk with you and say, okay, I think you can do IUI, or I think you're a good candidate for IVF, or I want you to think about donor egg. I don't want your feelings to be hurt. I don't want you to take it personally. I want you to realize that I'm telling you this as a physician based upon lots of studies, your profile, your AMH level, your weight, your medical history, all the, stuff on paper that I know about you. I don't know that, oh my gosh, your religion is totally against it, and your husband would never do something like that, or that would be completely unacceptable to you, or you have to change jobs in order to like get any kind of insurance, and this, or like you said you were never going to do needles. Like, I don't know those parts of it.
Things,
right?
Sure.
And so I think it definitely has to be a two-way street. So I think the biggest thing is to, do stuff like this, go on, MedAnswers and research reliable sources online like Resolve and ASRM, and educate yourself.
Yeah, underscored, right? We always underscore something.
And feel comfortable saying to the doctor, I hear what you're saying, and I know that makes sense, but for me that's just not going to work, and these are the reasons why. So we can have like a real conversation, and then also be prepared, like, if your doctor just flips out and can't handle that, then it's not a good fit for you. But I think a lot of doctors honestly are running around, and we've had all this training, and we know, well, if this occurs, then we're supposed to do this and all that other stuff. Well, we didn't realize that your deductible was like that high, and that's just
never
like you can't. Right. Like we didn't know that part. So like I feel like to try to make it more of a team effort, as opposed to like a boss and employee relationship. Yeah, like more like make it like this as opposed to like this.
So
does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. So what I'm hearing is the thing that we keep advocating for week after week, which is, if I'm coming in for treatment, I'm the CEO of my life. I'm the CEO of the outcome that I want, right? The outcome I want is I want that live baby in my arms. I want the poopy diapers. I want the late nights. I want, the terror when your baby has a first cold. I want those moments, but I'm the CEO of this. I'm coming to you to add you to that executive team. And I'm picking you because I already trust the training, the experience, Sometimes it's the wrong personality fit, and that's okay. So much of this needs to be kind of interview, format when it comes to your provider. I mean, I've told this story 100 times. I ended up going with my second opinion oncologist. My primary oncologist had a treatment plan for me, and my second opinion oncologist disagreed with it. Once I got the two of them speaking together on a conference call with me, I felt more comfortable with my second opinion oncologist. Now, I ended up going with a more aggressive treatment plan, but in the end, it was a better team player for me.
Right.
And, there's so much going into this for a couple when they're locked into their dream of parenthood. There's so much going into it for an individual who's going after egg freezing.
There's no single right answer for a lot of this.
Exactly. That's the thing. There's no silver bullet. There's no, one size fits all when it comes to this area of healthcare.
And so many people have more than one medically reasonable option for them.
Right.
And that's, that's okay. And if it's not what your doctor originally recommended, that's okay. I think doctors enjoy when their patients are knowledgeable and educated and engaged. I think that makes a difference for us, in our experience.
So I'm going to ask you a pretty provocative question, Serena.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I know you're not going to answer on behalf of all IVF docs across the board, but when you have an area of healthcare that doesn't have enough doctors to serve how many people need them, and you have very high physician salaries, and we're advocating for insurance coverage, which then is going to squeeze kind of payments out, how do we address that? How do you still get to make, however much money you want to make, and kind of tempered with, we need to reach more people?
That's really, really interesting. And I think when I first started out at St. Barnabas, it was all cash. We took only one insurance plan.
Wow.
And they really didn't cover much at all. And so I started in 1999, like I'm dating myself, but in 1999, before the 2001 New Jersey mandate, the original one. And I think a lot of doctors felt like, oh my God, if the mandate passes, we're gonna lose money. We're gonna become, we're gonna be working really, really hard, and we're not gonna be making enough money. But it didn't happen. I mean, I think we see a lot more patients. We see them in different ways, and it's made, I feel like, for me, like a better experience, because well, in New Jersey, I see so many different walks of life, and the fact that all these different people from so many different demographics, so many different backgrounds, and single people and LGBTQ people and people of all different colors, it's really, it makes, I think, a richer, more interesting experience for the doctor. And there's still, I think there's still plenty of ways to make a really, really good living. So and unfortunately, IVF still is, even with the mandate, not that accessible, because the mandate only covers maybe 50% of our population. And a lot of people that do have insurance still have these things like high copays, high deductibles, high co-insurance.
That's right.
We're constantly battling with trying to make things, affordable for people.
Right. No, it's true. I mean, the deductibles could be as high as an entire cycle.
Yes.
So it's true. And you have to time kind of when you do it accurately, because if you need 3 cycles, you can knock out 3 cycles in the course of a year. It's better to do it that way, because of that deductible. And folks need to get strategic about these types of things. Yeah. So here's my next question for you, though, is what's your next dream? You've seen this field go through so many changes. You've realized your dream of helping so many people have healthy babies. So,
I'm really excited about the fact that I got to help a little tiny bit with the new New Jersey mandate for egg freezing for cancer patients and for other medical indications, including transgender. So I was really, it's very, very hard with the legislature. They have this odd thing of, if you're going to testify in front of like a Senate committee or a legislative committee or a hearing, they don't tell you ahead of time. Like they're just like, oh, it's gonna happen this year. You know,
Wow.
and then they're like, yeah, it's gonna happen sooner, sooner, sooner. Then one day they're like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? And then
Oh
you're
my
like, oh my
God.
God, oh my God. So I
I
like,
had
I
no
think
idea.
this,
That's crazy. They don't do it
yes,
like
I
that in
think the stars
California.
aligned because like I had like this,
Oh my
I got
gosh.
a call from the lobbyist and they were like a National Alliance for Fertility Preservation. They're like, Trenton in 2 days. And I happened to have like one of my surgeries was canceled. Like the patient
Oh
just
my
couldn't do
gosh.
it and she
You got
canceled.
lucky.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I could go. So it was
Wow.
so I think it was meant to be. And I got down there and I got to talk to the bill sponsors and the head of the committee, and we got some amazing questions. And I also my fellow people who are testifying, like Deb Guston, who's a reproductive lawyer and done a tremendous amount of advocacy work in New Jersey for like this law and the gestational carrier law, all kinds of things. She testified, and Joyce Reinecke from National Alliance for Fertility Preservation told her personal story, which I hadn't had a chance to hear in person before. It was really a very special experience. And then, a few months later, Governor Murphy signed the bill just, last month. It was amazing. So, um, uh, but we're only the ninth state. It's crazy. We're only the ninth state. There's so
But
many
we
other
only,
states. And
right,
yet this is a standard guideline since 2013. We're
exactly.
supposed to tell
We
we're
shouldn't
supposed to
be
tell
mandates.
everybody that has cancer or a medical condition that's going to
Or,
affect your fertility about egg freezing, and yet most insurances don't cover it, even though the American Society for Clinical Oncology feels like this is medically advisable to consider.
yes. So we can definitely collectively agree, especially with my background in oncology as well, that we have
Yes.
a universal dream for oncofertility coverage, not just cancer, but we kind of use that term a little bit more broadly than we did in previous years to really indicate fertility preservation for anyone that has to go through a medical procedure that could leave them sterile or with compromised fertility. That can include anything that's using gonadotoxic medications like chemotherapy, and that could be the case for people who have blood disorders, not just cancers. That could
Right.
also be for transgendered people who are going to
Yeah.
go through
Like
surgical
maybe
transition.
like bariatric surgery. That's one of those things where you
Bariatric
have to
surgery could be a
delay
good one,
pregnancy for
exactly.
your own
Yeah,
safety. So
yeah,
that might be a situation. Really big fibroids, you get those taken out, it could potentially compromise the blood flow to the ovaries. I've had a lot of
sure.
gynecologists say, oh, this makes me nervous about your eggs. You should go
Right,
see Dr. Chen and get your eggs frozen before I do this surgery.
right.
Um, you know, we don't have time to talk about all these things, but a
We don't,
couple
but
of
that's a
things,
great
like maybe in another episode, we could talk about, like, I have hopefully soon an article coming out on advocacy as an
great.
antidote to physician burnout. That's going to be hopefully published
Love that.
soon with the help of ASRM. And then obviously we want to do more egg freezing and access, bless you,
Thanks.
access, better insurance coverage across the country.
Yes.
I also feel like we
And
need to
all
talk
things I'm here for this.
more. We need to talk more about like what are the implications for society? What are the ethical implications for society of some of this new genetic technology? Like
Yeah, we'll do a whole show on that.
there's so many aspects to that, like the fact that donor sperm is can no longer, or donor eggs can no longer be anonymous. That's a
Correct.
whole area. And then what about this extended pre-implantation genetic testing? Should we be checking
Mhm.
for higher intelligence? And personally, like, I'm like not so happy that we're like can select against short people. Like, hello, what about
And what
me?
about me? What about you? We would have been
Right?
sorted
Yes.
out.
So
We would have been. No, I
exactly.
know.
So
Yeah, there are
there's
ethical
so many
implications to
things
all
to
of
talk
this. That's
about,
important. Yeah, yeah.
right?
But in terms of dreams with this field in particular, I want to see an improvement in efficiency and how we manage patients, because I want to see the number of consults I want to see that skyrocketing, because
Yes.
what I'm really seeing on the app is that our users don't even get that very first conversation. And even if it's 20 to 30 minutes with someone like you on the phone, that's a very efficient use of their time, because
Yes.
they'll little tidbits that can go into a very long-term decision making for them, especially with this with people in their 20s. I'd like to see the media stop spreading the lie that nobody wants to have babies in their 20s.
Right.
You know,
Right.
yes, the average age of
We have so many, so like, right, that your average age is so like tons of people wanting to have
yes,
babies. Maybe they just can't, maybe they're just not talking about it.
they're not talking about it. That's the thing, that the media and entrepreneurs have perpetuated that myth. You know, entrepreneurs have said, oh, nobody wants to, you know, have babies until they're in their 30s, and it's just not true. And yes, there is a societal trend for a certain percentage of the population that has, whether it's by choice or not, delayed
Right.
parenthood. That's life. I don't, but that's actually not what we're seeing to be the case on the app. And I would like to see much more coverage of, you know, the obesity and fertility tie. So many of our users are trying so hard to lose weight so that they can ovulate without assistance. You know, so many of the men are trying to lose weight so that they improve their own semen parameters. I'd like to see coverage on that. I have definitely a dream that 100% of our users get a first consult within that first year of trying. But I also have a dream that we drop the meaningless definition of infertility. And if people have a known condition like obesity, like endometriosis, like fibroids, even painful periods, I mean, that if there's anything that's reproductively not quote unquote perfect, that they get in for a consult right away so that they have a really good plan.
But Alice, even if everything's reproductively perfect, you know, people they should still have counseling and advice, right? Like the right way to eat, the right vitamins to take, all that stuff.
Absolutely, because it starts with the conception, you know, and of course, you know, then that lends itself into, okay, what's the best way to eat for the health of the pregnancy itself, and to reduce risk of things like gestational diabetes and preeclampsia. We have another question that just came in. So Brooke says, so much of the stigma around infertility comes from younger couples being told they have time. That makes me crazy. Some diagnoses don't allow for taking time, and that's exactly the case. You know, you have a man who's azoospermic, right? Or you have a man.
What are you waiting for? We know you have a problem.
Exactly. I mean, there shouldn't be a way, but you know, wherever that started, where it triggers then the insurance, you know, to say they're denied.
Well, it's an arbitrary barrier to care. We need to break those down.
Yeah, that's the dream. Let's no walls, okay? No border walls.
And to Brooke, don't take no for an answer, Brooke. Like, if you get a no someplace, you know, if you keep persisting, you will find a provider who can be your advocate. So just got to keep going, you know, and maybe contact the MedAnswers people for like finding a good doctor to, you know, help you just get some answers.
All right, I'm going to say one more thing that's slightly controversial.
Okay.
And then I'm going to let you go for the rest of your evening.
Okay.
I also have a dream that all the societies reduce the age that they recommend women start fertility testing. Now, this is, you know, really clearly defined.
So like ASRM.
No,
like
I don't know what
ACOG, for example.
I know ASRM guidelines are better actually than ACOGs. So ACOG's guidelines still reads that you shouldn't measure a woman's AMH until she's 35. Okay, that is way too late. Now, I understand all the controversy around, okay, but how much information does AMH actually provide?
Right, like in isolation, like just to measure the AMH and then go all crazy about it, right?
I know.
It has to be.
The way that we handle fertility testing in general has some areas of improvement, yes. But the fact that we say no AMH testing until 35, that I think is completely irresponsible for anyone who even wants to freeze their eggs. If women start doing that younger, they at least could have early indicators of premature.
It's a little bit oversimplification. It's a little bit patronizing to just, you know, basically what they should be saying is, you know, it's difficult to interpret AMH. You need like a reproductive professional that really understands it, because we don't have the data. This is not a crystal ball. So you
Exactly.
have to be careful when you're testing, as opposed to just saying, don't test until you're 35. But like,
don't test your. I mean, to me, that's just outrageous.
I mean,
it's like, this
what
is
if you were a smoker? What if you had an ovarian cyst removed? What if you have a family
exactly.
history of premature ovarian failure? Obviously, there's like so
What if
many
you have a
different
history
things.
of PCOS and you want to know that your levels are completely off the charts high?
Right.
I mean, this has like lifelong reproductive implications. So I believe, and this is a dream of mine, that we should be testing everyone as a baseline very early in their life. And
Well, that kind of fits in, Alice, with the fact that we have a very reactive healthcare system and not a proactive healthcare system. Because if we had a proactive healthcare system, we would not only measure AMH, we would be checking a bunch of other things and doing a lot of reproductive health counseling, starting from birth, in an age appropriate way all along, instead of just waiting until somebody comes into the clinic and says, "Hey, I'm really suffering. What can I do?"
Exactly. So I'm going to add that to my dream list. I got a lot of dreams that came out of this episode. Adding to the dream list is nationally, maybe even internationally recognized, multilingual, amazing pre-pubertal reproductive health content that is relevant. I see nothing for boys. When I was doing my
nothing
and producing that, there was no website, there was no resource, not a single piece of information. And yes, we're underfunded for women's research, and all these areas have gaps for women. But I was raising a young son and producing content. I was shocked that there was truly nothing for boys, and then that means that there's nothing for girls about boys. There might be some things for girls about their periods and positive kind of relationship to your period, and moms making it more celebratory and less stigma. We can talk about it. There were some middle schoolers who did amazing because they had a principal who wouldn't let them use the word period or tampon, and they got school to change. We've got these amazing young advocates. So I definitely have a dream that we get big enough where we can influence that area as well.
I love that.
Yeah, it's so important. So important. Yeah. So thank you, Sonia. Sonia says this episode has been very enlightening and empowering.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we love doing these.
You. Stick with us. We're going to do more.
That's right. And we tend to be long-winded.
Yeah.
So you have to pause us and then pick us up, over a cup of tea in the evening. You can do that. That's kind of the beauty of Facebook Live. But we're so grateful for you. And on this Monday Motivation, our ask is write down your dreams. We know you have a dream for this path to parenthood. We are here with MedAnswers and the Fertility Answers app to serve you and help you achieve that dream. We have over 300 experts available to answer your questions. We have the matching platform to now match you to the right solution, including clinical trials, if that can help solve your problem. But we're so grateful to you, Serena. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for hanging in there through physician burnout and just helping the next generation of physicians behind you, come up and be the kind of amazing.
Yeah. There's so many amazing people coming up. It's just really wonderful to see. Yeah,
it is. All right. We'll see you next Monday, same time, 2 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern. And this is Serena and Alice signing off for Monday Motivation.
Bye.